All right, I will call to order the Rolesville Board of Commissioner regular meeting, business meeting. This is May 5th, 2026. Just want to thank everybody in attendance. We got a few people out here tonight in the audience, so just want to appreciate everybody here and also anybody watching online. Thank you very much for being part of the meeting. We got a pretty big agenda tonight. We will be handling the public hearing for the proposed budget coming up, and also a few, I would say not too big, but maybe not minor either, some items for some text amendment type things. So we do have quite a few public hearings to get through tonight, so we'll be trying to limit everybody to just 3 minutes of speaking. That's kind of the rule of the road, so we'll try to do that in all. I think it's five public hearings and a public comment section. So we got a lot of potential for people to speak tonight. So first of all, I want to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would everybody stand for that, and then we will stay standing. We got Pastor Jason Byer here from New Life Baptist Church. Want to give us the invocation. So thank you for coming out.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we do thank you again for your love and your mercies to us. Thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy, the liberties that we have the privilege to be a part of, and thank you for just your blessing upon our nation and even upon our community. And we pray for this meeting tonight. We pray that you would be glorified, and I pray that you'd help the commissioners, give them wisdom and guidance into decisions they make. And we thank you for our police force and for their service to our community and their protection. And I pray that you'd help them and give them wisdom in maintaining law and order, that we might have a peaceable community. And Father, we praise you for your goodness. Thank you for sending your Son, the Lord Jesus, to die for our sin. And we thank you for the privilege we have to serve him. Just pray for your blessing and help in the meeting tonight. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Jason, real quick, thank you for coming out. For people who don't know, maybe tell where your location of your church is so they know how to find it.
Okay, I'm the pastor of Lighthouse Baptist Church, just up Main Street, corner of Pulleytown Road and Main Street. And you'll be all invited to attend. We'd love to have you. But we're just an independent Baptist church and preaching the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out, Jason. Appreciate that very much. Okay. Next item, we will do some proclamations. I think this seems like to be Proclamation Month. We need to do a proclamation for proclamations almost with all of them we have to do this month. So we got 5 we're going to do, and I think the clerk, Christina, asked, well, do we want to take some off and not read them all? But if I'm looking at all of them, I think we should read them. They're all really important to us, the public works people, the police department is important. Our older Americans, senior citizens is important. Small businesses is important. Town clerk is important. So I think we should read them all. So the board is going to help me with this, and we'll start the first one with April. April is going to do the proclamation of National Public Works Week.
All right. National Public Works Week proclamation, May 17th through 25th, 2026. Rooted in service, powered by community. Whereas public works professionals serve in their communities every day and meeting people's needs in what gives public works its sense of purpose, focusing on infrastructure, facilities, and service that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of North Carolina. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in North Carolina to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding in the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Ronnie Curran, Mayor of Rolesville, North Carolina, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make in protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I set my signature to the seal of the town of Rolesville, North Carolina, on the 5th day of May, 2026. Ronnie I. Curran, Mayor.
Thank you, appreciate that. And I'll just comment, I don't think there's any Public Works people here, and the manager's not except Eric, so I want to just express my thanks to them, Eric, that they do a great job. You know, the Public Works people are the ones that they work behind the scenes. You don't see them a whole lot. They're out there early in the mornings and stuff doing things, and every one of our events, I mean, you believe this or not, but you'll see the people at the events and stuff, but they've done all the setup. They've done all the work pre-event and then after the event and all that kind of stuff. They really do a lot of things that we don't really see and recognize, and they're a good working bunch. And I just want you to express thanks from the board, recognizing them this month, and thanks a lot for all they do. Anybody at the board want to say anything? Okay. Next proclamation is a National Police Appreciation Week, and I think Commissioner Long, you want to do that one for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville Police Week. Whereas police officers of the Rolesville Police Department stand watch over our citizens, selflessly risking their lives to protect individuals, families, neighborhoods, and property against crime. And whereas it is important that all citizens recognize the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of local law enforcement agencies, and whereas Thursday, May 15, 2026 is observed nationally as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. And whereas the Rolesville Police Department, past and present, who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibility, have rendered dedicated service to the community. Now, therefore, I, Ronnie I. Curran, as Mayor of the Town of Rolesville, do hereby declare May 11th through 16th, 2026 as Police Week in the Town of Rolesville, North Carolina, and hereby publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community. In witness whereof, I have set my signature in the seal of Town of Rolesville this 5th day of May 2026. Ronnie I. Curran, Mayor.
Thank you, Lynn, and appreciate you reading that. And Chief is here with us tonight, so thank you for being here, Chief. I'm glad you're here on this proclamation, because I just want to reach out on behalf of me and the town and the board and all. You're opposite of the Public Works. You know, I said the Public Works was invisible. You know, you don't see them a lot. The police is right out there in the middle. Everybody sees the police department. You almost live in a glass house bubble type thing, and you get all the attention, and sometimes it's not good attention. So I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you department for all you do. We were this year, I guess it wasn't a selectional vote. It's actually, we earned the distinction of being the safest town or city in the state. State of North Carolina.
We out of the last 5 years, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we've done really good with that, and it's a reflection of the police department. I think it's a reflection of people who live here, too, but it's a really reflection of the police department. And you do a great job, Chief. I just want to thank you and all your department for all you do at this special time. So thank you. Anybody want to say anything else? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, I get the Older Americans Month. I'm not sure why. Who signed these things? I did. I did. Michael Paul, as you see, he's not here tonight. He's Paris. Is that what we're thinking? We're thinking he's in Paris tonight.
Oh, I know he's in here.
So-
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock here.
Oh,
Keep
so
going, I
he-
got a meeting.
he's probably watching. And you know, Michael Paul is our liaison to senior citizens. This is called Old Americans. I'm not sure why the name's different. I call it senior citizen. I am one, so I guess I can do that. But this is Old American Month, so I'm gonna read this one. It says, whereas the month of May is nationally recognized as Old American Month, a time to recognize the contributions of older adults and to reconfirm the commitment to serving older residents in our communities. And whereas the town of Rolesville values the wisdom, experience, and lifelong contributions of older adults who have strengthened our neighborhoods, enriched our civic life, and helped shape our community's character. Whereas older Americans play a vital role as mentors, volunteers, caregivers, community leaders, and active participants in workforce, sharing their knowledge and talents across generations. And whereas Rolesville is committed to fostering an age-friendly community that promotes health, independence, inclusion, and opportunities for meaningful engagement for residents of all ages. And whereas during Older Americans Month, we celebrate the resilience and the diversity of older adults and recognize the importance of accessibility, services, social connections, and community support to ensure all residents can age with dignity and purpose. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Town of Rolesville, North Carolina, that Rolesville recognize the month of May as Older Americans Month. We encourage community members to honor this older Americans, adults, and recognize their outgoing contributions and support efforts that promote positive aging and community engagement. Adopted the 5th day of May, 2026, Town of Rolesville, North Carolina, by Rolesville Board of Commissioners, and witness of, I have set my signature and seal for the town of Rolesville. So thank you. I think Michael Paul, if he was here, he could add a few comments. He knows a lot of the demographics. I think Rolesville does promote senior citizens. And I think our population, I know Michael has these numbers, and maybe Eric, you know, from compared to Wake County, we have a significant number of our, senior citizens compared to, you know, the population of Wake County, I think. So we are a community of older Americans, and just want to thank them and thank the staff again. I know Parks and Rec is not here, I don't think, but I know our staff has been working hard the last 12 months to do some things for our senior citizens and to set up some activities for them. And just thank June for that. I think we've done that recently. I think he'd give a presentation. But again, thank him for all his work he do for the senior citizens. Thanks a lot. All right, so we're getting through these things. The next one is National Small Business Week. So Jen, you want to do that one for us?
Certainly. This one holds a special place in my heart. Recognizing National Small Business Week 2026, whereas from the storefront shops that anchor Main Street to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstones of our nation's promise. And whereas when we support small business, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas, because this country's 33 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of 3 net new jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve ourselves to create jobs and spur economic growth in America without discussing ways to support our entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other government agencies. And whereas Rolesville supports and joins in this national and regional effort, along with Wake County and other communities in the Triangle region, to help small businesses do what they do best, grow their business, create jobs, and ensure that our communities remain as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. Now, therefore, I, Ron Curran, Mayor of the Town of Rolesville, do hereby proclaim May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Small Business Week and encourage our citizens to shop small and support their local businesses here in Rolesville. In witness whereof, I do hereby set my hand and cause the seal of Rolesville to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2026.
Thank you, appreciate that, Jen. And, you know, when I think of small businesses, you know, it's the lifeblood. It's really the lifeblood of the community, the small business. And, you know, if I had to choose, I mean, I think a lot of people want the big boxes, things that the Targets, the Walmarts, and maybe some things bigger for the town. But I would not want to sacrifice the small businesses for that. I think the small businesses really are thriving today. I think we're getting more of them. And a lot of times they're locally owned, so they're people we know, like sitting here at Diet tonight. You know, Jen has actually a brick and mortar, you know, place that really nice here in town, small business. But I think also Linwood has a small business, and I think you and your wife have small businesses too. I mean, they may not be brick and mortar, but
Michael too.
yeah. Who?
Michael Hall.
Mike Paul, yeah, Mike Paul. Yeah, thank you. If he was here, I wouldn't have left him out. But yeah, Michael Paul has a law office here, and a small business, and really, really, it makes a significant impact, and I really want to appreciate them this month for that, and hope that we will continue to grow as a small town with our focus on small businesses. And I know our planning department is doing things to try to help promote, you know, commercial building, commercial businesses, and I think all that's important. So I think we're on the right track. We just want to, I guess in this case, thank the board. Thank the board for, you know, promoting small businesses and trying to make things better for small business. So thank you. Thank every one of you. Appreciate that. And the last one is probably the best one. Proclamation. Yeah, proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week. So, you want to read that one, Dan?
Yes, sir. Excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice again. Proclamation of the Town of Rolesville, the 57th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists through the world, and whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Ronnie Curran, Mayor of the Town of Rolesville, North Carolina, do recognize the week of May 3rd through May 9th, the year of our Lord and Savior 2026, as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital service they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Proclaim this 5th day of May. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yeah, thank you, Christina, and I will make a couple of comments. because I made them for the others, I got to make them for you too. So I will make a couple comments that really, Christina has came in, hit the road running,
Yes, she
and did
has.
a great job. Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that. How many months you been working now? Has it been a little, so it's right at a year. And she has pretty much, before she took the job, Dave can, can contest to this. It was a lot of legal documents that wasn't prepared, and she done a tremendous job of getting all our legal documents prepared. Because, one of the things I think Dave and myself is held responsible for legal documents not properly prepared and documented with the county and state and everybody else. And I think we're feeling good about that, right?
We are, sir.
I think we are. And Christina's done a great job with that. And that's all the work. She does a great job at her work. But I want to say something else, though. She also loves the community. And she does a great job for the community that really does not have to be her job. The clerk, the mayor, the clerk, the town manager, and the attorney is on people on staff that's mentioned by charter. So they're mentioned in the charter as being, required for the town. And I think Christina, really her love for town adds additional stuff to that charter, not only legal documents prepared and all that, but she loves her community. She does so much that's almost behind the scenes, sort of like the public works thing. I mean, last Friday, me and her went out and looked at a bridge. Somebody wants a butterfly bridge. So we actually went out and looked at that and see what can happen with that. She worked with 9/11. She works with the kids at the school. And I can go on and on. We went to a book reading thing at school. She just does so much that's really probably not in job description. And she does it for the town and nothing else. It's nothing else. And I just want to thank you, appreciate all you, and give you a hand.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you have to say there, and I do. I truly care and love this town and this community, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Okay. Proclamation night is kind of coming to an end here. Just want to thank
A lot of papers to sign there, right?
Yeah, I know. We schedule all Thursday afternoon to sign all these papers. Just want to thank everybody for participating, reading that from the board. I want to thank you guys for that. I think the agenda is pretty clear cut. I don't know of any additions we want to do to the agenda. So I will.
When it comes to communication from staff, those two department directors, Mr. June and Mr. June Green and Mr. Isaac Pullman, they've submitted memos to you all in lieu of doing a verbal presentation to save on the amount of time in the meeting since we have those larger items. For the community, those are available in the agenda packet for you to review. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. They were giving out general operational updates, but we wanted to save a little bit of time for everyone tonight.
Yeah, and that was by intention. With the length of the meeting possibility tonight with all the public hearings, we decided to take the communication staff as info report, and you should have the report to review there. So that's not a change from the agenda, just make sure you understand kind of where that's coming from. Any other suggestions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So got a motion second. Any further discussion on the agenda?
No, sir.
Not hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. The motion approved. Thank you, board. Appreciate that. Now we got two items that like on the consent agenda, adoption of minutes from April 7th and 21st. And also Economic Development Incentive Policy Resolution from Michael McFarland, our Economic Development Manager. And I think that has been reviewed at least a couple times by Michael, but you guys may have some more additional comments or some more additional information you seek before we vote on that. So if you feel like you need to pull anything from the agenda to vote on After we get some more comments, let me know. But if not, I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. Motion approved. All right, all items on the consent agenda was approved. Now it's opportunity for the public to be heard. I think we got a few people that may want to speak. Are these for the public comment or the public hearings?
Public comment
Okay.
only.
Bring the sheet up if you would. Thank you. Just want to appreciate everybody coming out that wants to speak, public comment. I just want to remind everybody with all the meetings tonight that, you know, we will be trying to monitor the 3-minute rule. Christina will have that. Both of you get to speak. It looks like both of you want to speak. So both of you get to speak for 3 minutes apiece if you want to. So whichever one want to come up first, come on up. If you would, Marianne, state your name, address, and for me if you would.
Hi there, I'm Marianne Livingston. I live at 5004 Huntmaster Trail in Wake Forest, NC, which is part of Rolesville's ETJ. Tonight I'm here representing 17 homes that are also on Huntmaster Trail. I'd like to talk to you about Crooked Creek Road, which runs directly behind our homes. We on Huntmaster Trail, we don't live on that road, we don't use it, but we are the ones with the consequences. The conditions on that road are directly impacting our properties, our health, and our ability to live in our homes. And importantly, the town has the authority to address exactly this kind of problem. I've lived here since 2000. This is my home. It's where I raised my child. It's where our life has happened. For many years, it was a quiet place to live. That is no longer the reality. What was intended to serve a small number of homes now carries continuous traffic, including heavy trucks and commercial activity far beyond what that road, Crooked Creek, was ever designed to handle. Traffic now exceeds 350 vehicles a day, and they all run right by my backyard, and they all kick up dust. This is not occasional traffic. It is daily, continuous use. What we are experiencing is not just a nuisance, it's a failure of enforcement. Because when commercial activity is allowed to operate unchecked, the impacts are predictable. The road has deteriorated, and the result is constant dust, noise, and unsafe conditions that have taken away our ability to use our property. We cannot sit outside, we cannot open our windows, we cannot live normally in our homes. For over 2 years, we have reported these conditions to the town, and during that time, the activity has increased and the conditions have worsened. The way this road is structured allows everyone to use it, but no one is effectively responsible for it. Some are expected to maintain it, others use it with no obligation, and there is no effective mechanism to require compliance or control how it is used. That is a regulatory void. And the result is exactly what we are living with: unrestricted use, no accountability, and no meaningful way for residents to fix it on their own. What we are experiencing is a lack of action, and at this point, continued inaction is not neutral, it is a decision. North Carolina law is clear under North Carolina General Statutes 160A, 174, 175, and 193. If I could just have 10 seconds.
You can.
The town has the authority to act. Towns across North Carolina have used that authority to stop ongoing nuisance conditions on private property when they impact the surrounding community. After 3 years of living with these conditions and with the authority you have, we are asking you to act. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marianne. Appreciate that. Okay, Dave, you got comments? You loud?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Dave Livingston, and I want to focus on what's happened to our neighborhood over the past 2.5 years and why it's not been addressed. It's been repeated, as she said, to the town and county over and over. During that time, we've been told enforcement is difficult. I have a letter from Mr. O'Neill. private wooded lots, conditions, limit access. They sent letters to these businesses. We tried to follow up, you know. But what happened was the tree service, who parks his vehicle, one of them right over there, on the weekends, goes up, shreds, and operates not a home-built business. It's a full-service industrial, up and down the hill all day. I've sent videos. I've sent this. The town just sent us in circles. We went to the county. The county says ETJ, et cetera. We're going back and forth. And what happened was, and I have paperwork, 2.5 years of them saying civil, go civil. We can't. If I had all the money in the world, I can't fix this problem. The regulatory void was created by the county by accident. There was a series of omissions and accidental real estate problems that suddenly it's created an issue where I can't go after the residents. They don't own the road. Yeah. The men who own the road don't live there anymore. They don't exist. It's a defunct estate. He says there's a owner, but it's a rabbit hole of probate of people who like maybe inherited, maybe not. Sandaway has no obligations whatsoever. So we've got a whole neighborhood of 29 homes behind a road that's being treated kind of as a sovereign border. And then Mr. Wesman went right up there with his own car and saw the violations that they said for 2.5 years, heavily wooded lots, Conex containers, piles of brush, chipping, shredding, the whole activity. And we've just been choking and choking and choking. I have a letter from my neighbor. I'm going to give some of this stuff out. She has cancer. Her husband felt $10,000 putting in a place for her to recover. She can't go outside, the cataract surgery, the dust. So that was a waste of money. I can't go outside and do any work. I'm a singer in a band. I'm constantly getting respiratory infections. The dust is so thick, and I've sent you videos. You can't see across my property. So every 3.5 seconds, there's either a car or a giant commercial truck trailer. There's landscapers. The pool company in your own thing here, he keeps his equipment there, but he has an address. So everybody's using this regulatory void to break the rules and get around the rules. And all we wanted was the right to breathe clean air. You should be able to walk outside in your yard and go, oh, and not breathe silica fines. It's a proven carcinogen. DEQ came out and said, this is not proper. You can't breathe this. We can't do anything. It's private property. Everybody kicks private property around. And so you took the EJT, you took the counties who said they could have helped us if it wasn't y'all, and we've been spinning around in circles while we all choke to death and hope we don't get cancer. And we don't know what to do because every lawyer says the same thing. Look at the paperwork. I've never seen this in North Carolina. I don't know how to fix it. They've stripped you of your civil rights. Your civil options are gone because Ari will just bury you in court. And your lawyer that he told me to go see was one of them, because I'm the ringleader. I heard that, and I'm very upset, has told me the same thing. What are you going to do? Sue everybody? I don't have the money. I'm a disabled veteran who just wants to live my life. And 17 houses, same problem.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you guys bringing it to the board. I think the board is somewhat aware, some of us are anyway, of the issue.
And this is the paperwork that shows all of the errors that just created a situation that nobody wants to touch because it's going to be too expensive, I guess. But I can't afford to fix it, and I'm certainly not going to buy an interest in the road.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. So, Ben, the board has heard this public comment. I would ask staff, Dave and Eric, if y'all would report to the board. I think Mr. Livingston's talking about this being going on for 2 years. Kind of do a report to the board during the next work session or the next work session you get it scheduled in, so they'll understand more about what's going on, if you would, with this and the issues with that. And when we have a work session, Dave, you and Ms. Livingston, y'all can come back and hear if you want to. It is open meeting, the work session. You won't be able to speak anything, but you can come back and hear what the report are. So you're welcome to do that. But I'll give y'all time to kind of put something together. But I think we want to understand better. I know I haven't heard getting too involved in the last 6-8 months, so maybe some things have materialized. But
So certainly, likely will be a mixture of open session and closed session.
Okay.
As some of this is likely pending litigation.
Yeah, let's do as much as you can open, so everybody understand what the situation is and what our limitations are, I guess.
Absolutely.
From, being able to take a stance. But my understanding, it's a dirt road, and it's a private dirt road next to a adjacent subdivision that has nothing to do with the dirt road. And that's,
So it's Crooked Creek Road that
Yeah.
basically has no
Yeah.
ownership, or
Can I
questionable.
yeah, and the residents that live in the other subdivision has to deal with this subdivision's road. And, both of them is in the county, so, we don't have any ability to do anything money-wise to do any correction. All thing we could do is enforce the land use of the property over there. Is that right?
We'll talk about it at the work session.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds great.
I didn't know
Can you
more.
reference those general statutes that she
Yeah.
Those are chapters of the North Carolina General Statutes. Those are not individual statutes. Yeah, but we'll talk about that.
Thank y'all for coming.
One last thing I forgot to mention is we have 45 signatures, because one of the problems
Yeah.
also is the gunshots. I emailed that to her,
Yeah.
because the road, they can't go back there and see if the gunshots are in compliance.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that, and I saw that in the email that the clerk sent to us. Yeah, I'm not sure about the gunshot thing, Dave. We'll probably have to, chief, kind of, if it's in the county within a certain distance of the town, we can do something, but I think if it's way out there in the county, away from town, I'm not even sure we got any jurisdiction over there, because that's not a land use thing, that's a county deal. So, we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's
Explore
okay.
that.
We appreciate you bringing it up. Okay, well, thank you. It doesn't appear anybody else wants to speak. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak or not. Not hearing any. We're going to move on then to liaison reports. We will start on Jen's end. Jen, you have anything to report from public safety?
We just have a few things to update on. So PD has some fun stuff going on. This summer, they're doing the bicycle helmet safety citation. So kids found riding safely with their helmets will receive a citation that includes a free treat from McDonald's, and it happens all summer long, and the officers have it while they're on patrol. Camp Kids will be happening July 6th to the 10th. It's a free camp. Applications are being taken now. They close on May 21st at 5 p.m. And there is a link both through the police department's Facebook page, but also on our Town of Rolesville page. And I think if you just query in there Camp Kids, KIDDS, it would bring up the Cognito form. I was told we have 2 candidates in background check process. And the next public safety meeting is June 24th, which I will be in attendance. And then Fire sent me a few little updates here. They've got their award ceremony May 7th on Thursday. They're going to be recognizing their members' accomplishments, and I'll be in attendance with that. They've been doing a lot of training, including vehicle extrication training for all department members. And they've been working diligently with ADW on the new fire station design. So they're busy.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate a good report. Lou, anything from planning department?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have just a few updates. The planning board meeting on April 27th was really mainly focused on policy and ordinance updates. And obviously, we're looking at, they were looking at how we continue to shape our future neighborhoods, commercial sites, development projects. A couple things that we did talk about or talk through was the new AI policy for planning board operations, just the new AI policy in general, making sure that they were understanding their guides and the requirements. Obviously, we had them sign over their lives away at that meeting. We went over a few major reviews of development rules around TA 26-005, which is proposed updates to the Land Development Ordinance, the LDO. We'll have some more conversations about that in the near future. Those are just a couple of highlighted updates that I want to give at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good report. Appreciate that. And April, Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, on April 22nd, we had our last meeting, and we had Parks and Rec Day on April 11th. It was a great event, well attended. One of the Rolesville a young lady, a Rolesville Middle School student, sang the national anthem, and a young man did their first pitch out for to start the season. So that was exciting. And Rolesville High School team, softball team, young ladies came out to volunteer. And there was a donation for autism where people made a donation, were able to put their handprints on a police cruiser, and that was enjoyed by all. Fall sports registration starts in May for residents, May 11th, which is Monday, and May 18th for non-residents. And we talked about the HUD grant for Main Street Park. They're working on that, and once the grant, they get the grant, they will start bringing in the vendors to complete the work. So that'll be exciting. It will most likely happen in the winter. Kristen spoke about Arbor Day. We had our Arbor Day celebration, and we planted three trees. There were conservationists out there and master gardeners who shared their knowledge with the town, anyone that was in attendance, so that was really nice. And upcoming is the Memorial Mile on Memorial Day, where you're encouraged to come out and join other residents to walk from the town hall down to the Joel Fund. It's exactly 1 mile away, and they will provide lunch there. And I'm happy to say that the trail art was decided on, and this year, instead of in June, it will be held in July to help celebrate Parks and Rec Month. And then it's not part of Parks and Rec, but a big shout out to the Rolesville Chamber for their barbecue.
Yeah, it was very successful, I
Yeah.
think. I was pleasantly surprised all the people came. I mean,
It was the biggest yet ever.
it was a big event.
Yeah, I could hear those bands all the way down at my store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stepped outside to get something, and I was like, where's that music coming from? And I thought, oh my gosh, it's...
Well, you're not that far, really. I mean.
No, but I mean, like I could have sat there and sang along. Like, that's how...
When you have to get on Main Street Drive down, it seems
I
like
know, I
forever,
was-
but, you know, it's not
like,
really that far.
Dang, couldn't go. I was stuck working.
That was a good event, though. Thank you, April. Good report there. Dan, veterans, what you got veteran-wise?
Yes, sir. May is Military Appreciation Month, a time to honor and recognize the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who serve the United States Armed Forces. Armed Forces Day is celebrated on May 17th. Armed Forces Day is to promote unity amongst all the military branches. I had the honor of serving as the guest speaker at the Rolesville High School Navy National Defense Cadet Corps first military ball. During my remarks, I spoke with the cadets about the importance of leadership, character, and ethics, encouraging them to apply these principles in both their personal and their future professional lives. It was also encouraging to hear from several parents who shared how impressed they are with the growth and the maturity of their young adults, noting that the Cadet Corps has provided meaningful guidance, discipline, and structure that has positively impacted their homes and their development. Memorial Day. Monday, May 25th is Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day. It was formalized by a Memorial Day order issued by the Grand Army of the Republic Commander-in-Chief, John A. Logan, in 1868. Many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries or memorials, holding gatherings, and participating in parades. And Commissioner Snead already mentioned with Parks and Rec about our Memorial Day Mile. Military Appreciation Luncheon. The Rolesville Chamber of Commerce will be having a Military Appreciation Luncheon on 14 May at Arise Co-working Community located at 300 Southtown Circle. The start time is 1100 hours. The Joel Fund. On Saturday, May 30th, join the Joel Fund for an afternoon exploring creative expression through dance and visual arts. Workshops include storytelling through dance and a 2D art project. And also, the Joel Fund will be having their ribbon cut on 11 June at 1000 hours at 115 West Young Street here in Rolesville. This is to celebrate the Veteran Center opening.
Ben, I'm sorry, what was the date for the ribbon cutting again?
On 11 June, 11,
June 11th.
at 1000 hours.
Where is that?
at West John Street, 115,
At what, 10 a.m. did you say?
10 a.m. I'm sorry, I get in the military time.
I know, and then I have to do math and try to figure out what
Sorry.
time it is.
Divide by 12.
Yep. Or it's a try 12, or add 12, depending on what time it is. But mayor and board and town, they will conclude my report.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Very good. Like Paul's not here, he's liaison to senior citizens and RDDA. And senior citizens, I think they had an event the past few weeks, a talent show type event, fundraising event. And I think it was very successful. They always do a very good job. The senior network do a very good job of that. And I already mentioned about senior citizen proclamation and some comments about what our park and rec is doing there. One little comment about Michael, maybe report, has to do with RDDA. And they have a new president. So now the new president is Lisa Kane. It was Sheila Sutton for the last couple of years, but now it's Lisa Kane. They're rewriting the bylaws, tweaking the mission a little bit to make it more downtown focused, I think. It's kind of what I read on it. And also they're becoming more of a independent nonprofit. By bylaws, I think they can do that. By their charter, I think they can do that. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think Dave is okay with it from a legal standpoint. It kind of disconnects us a little bit. So RDDA will become sort of similar to a chamber in relationship. We won't have anybody sitting on the board. Myself and Michael Paul was sitting on the board, so we won't have anybody officially sitting on the board. So that's going to be a big change. I think that covered. Michael, is anything you want to add real quick to that? That's pretty much covers it. It's pretty simple. It's just they're becoming a full-fledged, I call it full-fledged nonprofit that will stand on their own, and we won't have any obligations to them, other than what they come and ask us for at each year doing an MOU or something like that, sort of like the chamber. So they have to ask for whatever. I think they're doing a lot of good things. Michael and myself and Michael Paul, two wants to stay kind of involved in them, but they want different things done on Main Street. They may be helping us with the mailboxes, I think. We talked about doing that. They like to see more of the pedestrian acorn lights on Main Street. The little acorn lights like you see. It's more for the pedestrian sidewalks than anything else. So maybe some sidewalks that has a lot of night traffic on it. We may can think about that. So they may can help on that because they try to gear more as a grant organization, getting grants. That's what they're going to work on getting a lot of grants. So, and they already got one of the big ones from Deep. Go right ahead. I'm done.
Well, I was just going to say that was one of the reasons for applying for grants too, as a separate nonprofit. That makes them eligible, and if they're more separate from the town, and they can apply for things that towns can't apply for and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Mike. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a little complicated because really they were set up for that reason. Because, like Michael said, some grants the town can't receive. Nonprofit gives grants, don't give it to us. And it's separated, so they could, but then they don't want to sometimes if they think it's connected too closely with the government. So, so it may help them a little bit. So I just wanted to let y'all know that in case you hear something about changes with the RDDA. That's the big thing, I think. And I don't think it's been voted on yet, has it? No. I think it's been presented, and Lisa was asking for like a 30-day response if anybody want to respond to it or something. All right, we will get into these hearings. Like I said, the communication from town staff is in a informational package, and Can you give me those sheets up there, Christina? Let me see who signed up. We got 4 public hearings and then a consideration agenda if y'all want to do that. So the first one is the fiscal year 26-27 proposed budget public hearing. And before I open that public hearing, Eric, I'll let you or Amy, whoever wants to tag team it, to give a brief summary. I think y'all did a very good job, last work session, going through it. I still got my book. Somebody needs a book to look at real quick. I still got mine. But maybe if you keep the report update simple. If it's changes, we naturally want to know about that.
Yes, I'll let Amy do her brief presentation, and I'll just note that we didn't receive any direct questions from the community regarding the budget, and I did have one sit down with one of you commissioners, and was able to answer the questions, but neither one, that meeting did not result in any changes to the budgetary line items.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Amy Stevens, Finance Director. The manager did present this budget to you a few weeks ago, so I will give the speed presentation summary of the budget, the proposed budget. We always start here with the budget process, and that is your strategic plan. It's important that any resource allocations are consistent with and promote what your objectives are in that strategic plan. This is a quick summary of the budget. We have the current budget, 25-26, and then your proposed budget, 26-27. There are 2 funds that are budgeted, both last year and this year. The general fund is your operating budget that is appropriated on an annual basis. So when you put money towards a general fund, that money's there July 1, and then the next June 30th that rolls around, that money is unappropriated. It is no longer available to spend. Capital Projects Fund is a little different. These are large multi-year construction projects typically. These are usually budgeted through a capital project ordinance. Capital project ordinance remains in effect, that budget appropriation remains in effect until the project is complete. So those typically go on for multiple years. There's one exception to that, which you are budgeting for in 26-27 in the proposed budget, and that's the debt service for the farm park land. So there's a slight decrease here. Let me jump in and explain that. There were several one-time events in the current 25-26 year budget that had to do with fire unification and some capital project appropriations. And so it looks a little weird for it to be going down, but that's because last year had some one-time things. Okay.
A quick question, is our
Sure.
budget roughly in between the 21 and 23 million? Is that a year-over-year number that you're seeing has been pretty standard?
Yes, that is, I believe, so you'll see in a minute, we'll be talking about property tax.
Yeah.
And that's based on Wake County is projecting a 7% increase in property tax valuations. So that's where most of our revenue comes from. Okay, so there we go. Perfect segue into those revenues. This is a pretty common chart. We've seen this many years, nothing different for this year compared to others. Ad valorem taxes, that's property taxes, that is the largest source of revenue for the town. The second largest source of revenue is that taxes and licenses. Most of that is sales tax revenue. Okay? Property taxes you have direct control over when you set the tax rate. Sales tax revenues we really have no control over. That's highly economic dependent. So if there's an economic downturn or economic uncertainty, we want to be fairly conservative with those projections. What's new last year and is in again here this year is this intergovernmental. Didn't used to be that big. It's 12% now. And that's because of the fire unification. So a big portion of that intergovernmental is really also property tax, because that's property tax that comes from that unified fire tax district in the rural areas. The town receives money from that fire tax district in the county because our fire department serves the rural areas. Let's flip it over on the expenditure side. Again, nothing new here. Your biggest section of expenditures is fire and police, or public safety. What is a little new, a little different, but reflective of the town's growth, is actually your second largest category of expenditure is now debt service, capital, and capital reserves. We'll be talking about that a little more. Here's some highlights on those revenues. Proposed budget has no increase to the property tax, remaining at 40 cents. Motor vehicle fee would remain at 30. It does propose a 5% increase in solid waste fees. As the manager talked, we've had several years of inflationary increases from the service provider there. We've been able to absorb those. If you remember, a few years ago, we brought yard waste collection in-house. That brought us some savings by doing that. And that sort of absorbed those cost increases, but we're now at the point where, to make the revenues come in equal with the expenditures going out for solid waste, a 5% increase is warranted. And then just a minor change to the schedule of fees. This is last year's, or the current year, depends on where you're standing. This is the hard time of year to say this year and next year. But this is the 25-26 property tax rates that were adopted by units in Wake County. So you can see Rolesville was right in the middle there. Remains to be seen what they adopt this year. But again, Rolesville's is proposed to remain the same.
Amy, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On that slide, with the General Assembly still discussing the property reform, are there any contingencies that we have in place so our quality of service doesn't decrease?
I tell you, let's think about that. Let's think about that. And
How much time do we have?
That's a lot. That's a lot. You say you want a short presentation. That's a long
It's a
conversation.
lot to bubble, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm a finance guy,
So we have shared to you all some documents that came from the Wake County Board of Commissioners by way of the North Carolina League of Municipalities that equip you all as our elected officials with language that you all can engage our legislative upline with the impacts that putting limits or caps on property taxes can have on our level of service. And our biggest expenditures are public safety and services directly to our community. Any limit on that or any alteration that will impact our ability to provide those services at the same level that our community members have been accustomed to. But more importantly, when it comes to public safety, in some other areas, water and sewer services, a level that we need to provide it, if that makes sense. And so we don't have any alternative ways or alternative funding to provide and pay for those services. So if we don't have taxes, we don't have services. And so that will be, that's a bridge that we do not want to have to cross as administrators. And it's one that we look to you all to continue to talk with our umbrella of legislative representatives to continue to inform them of the impacts of any change to that. I would hope that the community will be aware of these proposed items that will be on the ballot later this fall. And that they will be on that, will work to be as informed as possible as to where their tax dollars go. Taking a look at our budget is an example. All of their tax dollars go towards the providing of services for our community. And so that's what I would say in sum. It is a longer conversation. As for contingencies, we would have to talk further about what those contingencies could be.
Well, and it wouldn't be anything that would affect us in the coming, they would have to give time for any of, I see your facial expression. No, I was going to say, if we're setting our budget for 26, 27, anything that they would vote on would have to be in a following fiscal year, correct?
Most likely.
Yes.
Once a tax rate is adopted, so between now and June 30th, all these units are adopting tax rates. And once they're adopted, that's it. And so they're not going to be able to change those.
A really quick question here. So I know with the state legislation, what they're proposing is limits on how much you can increase property taxes, but are they addressing anything as far as like reappraisals, which, and that's done at the county level, correct?
It's done at the county.
And is that, how often is that done? Like would that, because to me, it would seem that that would be the bigger issue is, you know, homes coming in being reappraised that haven't been looked at in 10 years.
Right. The prior cadence was every 4 years. They've gone down to every 3 years. And as far as the tax administrator, what they've communicated to us is that it will be 3 years, another 3 years, and then go to 2,
Okay.
in order to create more continuity and,
Okay.
and less
Instead of
less shock on that once every 4-year cadence.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think, and Erin's going to speak at the league event.
That's correct.
Thursday, so she all did to hear
Yes.
her talk about it. I think the only thing in short set, or in this session that could take place is they're proposing, and I think it's got a lot of traction, is to put a moratorium on the reassessments or the valuation reassessments. So that could be a moratorium. I don't even think Wake County's planning one, so it probably wouldn't affect us that much. So, but I don't think anything else will be this session from what I'm hearing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so when the manager presented his budget, he did outline 3 priorities. These typically relate to expenditures. Priority number 1 was sustaining that capital investment in ongoing operational service levels. So when I mentioned earlier in that pie, I said now your capital and debt service is a quarter of what your expenditures are. That's reflective of this, your capital improvement plan, your 5-year financial model. There are several very large projects associated with the town campus, as well as others in parks and recreation and some of the streets and sidewalks. And so that really has become one of the biggest priorities, is to make sure that this model is fundable and financially sustainable for the long term. Other investments, fire apparatus reserve. We have a fire engine that's, I think, fire apparatus. Try not to call them fire engines, because there's all these names. Anyway, fire apparatus is supposed to be due not in 26, 27, but in 27, 28. And so if you remember, when we went through fire unification, the county gives some funds to the town to pay their cost share of that replacement apparatus. And we have been matching that with the town's cost share and putting that into a little reserve to the side. So by the time it comes to replace that apparatus, we should have a pretty good portion of it. It won't be all of it, but about half of it should be available, to pay for the cost of that new apparatus.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
just while we're on that particular subject with, the vehicles, the apparatus, what do we have? Because I know one of the things that PD we're looking for, but obviously we don't have the money in the budget at the moment, were new vehicles for their fleet. Do we somehow have something similar where we have a reserve fund that, basically we're saving up for that? Or is that something that we get through grants? How do we address the growing needs with them, needing vehicles sometime in the future?
I would have to get back to you on that. As far as a reserve fund, we don't have that currently in place. There could be something we can glean from with the experience with the fire department. Say we can establish that with PD. The cost of the vehicles, they do go up, but it's more so attached to personnel, and so there is a vehicle attached to a person, and so it fluctuates a lot more, and it's not as predictable as with the fire, where it's an apparatus with an expiration date.
Sure.
But what we've been doing is working with PD around the replacement cadence that we have on either mileage and years, and then looking at the different types of vehicles to kind of optimize that. Chief had offered up some solutions around leasing, but we're trying to navigate what the risk is with that, because then if we were to lease, would eventually put us in a position where we're totally reliant on someone to provide vehicles. And if something were to happen with that contractual obligation, we would have to purchase a whole fleet at one time.
Sure.
And so, but we're navigating that. That's something we're working through.
Okay, because could we maybe put into discussion some way, because, you know, one of their vehicles, when we were looking at the proposed wish lists from every department, were 4 vehicles, and that was, what was it, about $100,000 per vehicle, correct? Am I right on that?
Yes.
I'm just trying to recall the numbers that we were looking at. So just knowing that, again, that is such a huge amount, and if with the vehicles needing to be traded in, or we're, you know, the force is getting a little bit bigger, if they do need vehicles, is there a way that we would be able to have some sort of capital reserve for, you know, they're not cheap vehicles?
Yep. We're definitely thinking about that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
That's particular for police.
Yeah, because if you saw in the email,
Yeah, because I know years ago, and I think it may not be being cut, Amy, but I was thinking we were replacing a certain amount every year, so
Right.
so it'd be almost like it's same amount. So it's not like
Correct.
yeah, okay,
it's not like it's a big jump and you replace a bunch of vehicles and all of a sudden you got to add $500,000 to the budget to replace the whole. It was supposed to be kept every year, replace vehicles just about, right? So every year it's a expenditure for vehicles that's built into our budget.
okay.
That-
Yeah, it was just, it was just noticing, because we touched briefly on it, you know, I wasn't sure if it was the need for expansion or if there were other vehicles that were needed in the PD department, but just knowing that there was a signaled need,
Right.
right, for in the future here, just to be able to kind of earmark funds.
That's our cadence. We noticed that some years that it will take longer to get them. Like we'll put in a purchase order, but they won't arrive to the next year. This year, the revenues are so low that we couldn't keep that same cadence. So it's not, this year is like an anomaly because we will have something in there. And so looking to next year, we're hoping that it will flop the other way.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Dan, I was looking at it, I guess it was yesterday, It looks like you're repurposing some of the police vehicles.
Yes. So we, some of the vehicles that they will send to auction, we've taken 2 of those and we made them engineering vehicles. And so that's us not buying general admin vehicles, but being blessed by the ones that they're not going to be driven as hard as they would if they were in pursuit. But we're using those for engineering vehicles.
We still lose the money we would get to sell them, but that's not significant.
It's not significant.
Not significant, you got to buy one.
Correct. And so 13, 14,000 like you typically get. But if we look at how much it would cost for us to buy a new engineering vehicle, it's cheaper to retain and absorb the cost in another department than it is to go out and buy. Because even a non like interceptor or pursuit ready vehicle would still be significantly more than that amount. You know, we can't even get used cars for less than $30,000.
I think they're trying to do a good job of having a strategy
Yeah.
that spends every year. You got a certain amount of money you try to spend on keeping a vehicle. Because we used to drive them till the wheels fell off. And
did.
And then you had to find money to buy them and all that kind of stuff.
That's correct.
So how many do you try to, like, what's the cadence, like, number of?
How many every year?
So we look at it kind of like the laptops, but they're way more expensive. But the cadence is as something comes up, it hits a certain mileage or a certain year, then you evaluate it for replacement.
Okay.
And so there could be years where they mature up and it's like 5, or it could be, hey, unfortunately, we don't have one that's coming up. We're hitting that mark this year. But it follows like a rhythm.
Okay.
And some have
It's
mileage
need-based.
on it and others that every month.
We base it off how long it takes to acquire. We base it off vacancies, because sometimes there may be vacancies where someone new can roll into somebody else's prior vehicle. And so those are just things we're taking into account. We've had conversations with Chief that we need to kind of maximize that, optimize that a little bit more now that we know that moving into the building, having the more cars you get, the more refined the system needs to be. Either the cost, which is in the fire department's case, the cost is so much, you have to put the system in, or when it's a lower cost in comparison when it comes to the police department's vehicles, the volume. And so now we're getting to that point where it's so many that we need to be more fine-tuned. But those are conversations we're having every year as we move towards having more in the fleet.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
so Amy, in your opinion, is it working pretty good? The strategy we're using?
No, I do see a value. The manager and I have talked about creating some sort, maybe we can create a special fund or something where we accumulate funds, and maybe not even apply to police vehicles, it apply to public works. And the fire department even has, they have vehicles too, about the same price as a police car, that aren't even part of this apparatus plan, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Okay. Also reserving PAL bill funding, making sure that we're reserving funds for that. I know we have some projects with our eye on using some of that funding.
That power bill now has a sunset on. You have to spend it within a certain period of time.
Yes, I believe it's 10 allocations, which is basically 5 years of appropriations. We were right there, but they've spent it on Granite Falls Boulevard, so we're back at a good level.
We don't want to lose that.
I know you get those messages too. Yeah. Okay. Other operational increases, these were mainly inflationary, solid waste and streetlights. But then the board also had some initiatives in the parks and recreation area, so those were emphasized as well. Manager's priority number 2 is investing in people and the organization. So this budget does include a cost of living increase and merit increases for staff. That cost of living increase is based off of the Consumer Price Index. All urban consumers, February 25 to February 26, that difference was 2.4%, so the town is tracking right with the CPI. Our health insurance did go up slightly. I know, Mayor, you and I had a conversation the other day about the state retirement system and those contributions. The state treasurer has come out and said that this is probably the maximum year for those contributions. Years ago, the town used to contribute 6% of an employee's salary into the retirement system. In this coming year, for every employee, the town will be contributing almost 17% of their salary into the retirement system. So that's where the treasurer has said we're at the max, and we're hoping to start leveling that back off and bringing it back down over the next few years. There is one new position in this budget, is a police officer at the cadet level. There's additional funding for Parks and Recreation. And many times when budgets get tight, the first thing to go is training for employees. But that is something that our organization values, and as the budget process went through, that was something the manager really highlighted to make sure our employees could continue to expand their professional development. His third priority was strengthening foundation for long-term growth. These don't really have a dollar figure with them, but it is appropriate to bring these along with the budget proposal because they do relate to the use of financial resources. I mentioned earlier about that CIP and how important that 5-year model is to make sure that, what's the phrase, you don't get out over your skis, right? So we want to make sure we don't do that, that we make sure that the projects that we take on, the debt service that we take on is something that the town can handle and pay and still maintain operations. So financial sustainability is important, making sure we're operating efficiently and that we are strategically ready for the growth that continues to occur. I think that is it.
Good presentation. Thanks, Amy. Any comments for Amy before I open up the public hearing?
Amy, Mr. Manager, you've done a great job with the budget as always. I think it's very important that I never lose sight of what's important to the public safety part of the IT technology piece. I noticed that in the pillars to come, I didn't really see anything around technology being a part of the financial sustainability, operational efficiency, and strategic readiness. I believe it's imperative for our town to have direction around those areas, specifically around staff as we build, but also how we protect our community. And that comes with the IT professional in-house. not necessarily a staff to do break fix, but do we have that in the budget? Is that those numbers being evangelized? And if not, can we start doing that? Because that is imperative. We're one of few municipalities that don't have one.
Right, so we have $50,000 in the budget to be able to continue to improve like our contracting around that. As far as in-house, we do have a staff member that's taken that on to kind of champion that. That person is located inside of finance. And so that's continuing to expand as a part of her role. And then with our services with our virtual IT director, which is Think Tech, we've expanded the coverage that they're providing us with regards to that. A goal for this year is to continue the assessment from the cybersecurity standpoint. That was slowed down because the funding for that department at the federal level kind of gridlocked for about 2 months, I think, 2.5 months. Yeah, and so that department still isn't funded. And so once we get that CGIS and the Department of Defense information back, we'll have an assessment to kind of go off of when it comes to adding that role and growing that next year. One of the key things we're waiting for was that feedback and that reporting from those cybersecurity threats to say what are both the physical, like personnel assets we need to put into place, but also what are the technical cyber security steps, be it switches and all those different things that we need to put in place to kind of buffer up and shore up ourselves from a cybersecurity standpoint. And so there's the people in the hardware, the people in the tech part that we're continuing to evaluate, but that report out from those agencies has been slowed. And so that's what's been kind of the cornerstone of that. But we're prepared to take those steps.
Are we talking about from the NCDIT? The report from the cybersecurity assessment coming from the North Carolina Department of IT Security or coming from National Guard?
And the DOD.
CISA.
CISA.
So National Guard is giving you, they've been a little slow to respond?
National Guard has got, they did theirs. That's the first wave. And then the second one was more intense, in their words, more detailed, that was rooted out of the standards set by the Department of Defense from CISA.
Okay, and that's the report you're waiting on?
Yes.
And is that ran by the governor's office? Or is
That's
that
the
ran-
Department of Homeland
Defense?
Security.
That's Department of Homeland So the actual DHS is going to run this, so you're not going to get anything from North Carolina people at all?
We already have ours from the national.
So what is the federal one providing that North Carolina? What am I missing?
So the one from the North Carolina National Guard was much more technical oriented. I mean, we had half a dozen people in here with computers trying to hack it. You know, it was very technical oriented. The CISA one, actually, I found much more interesting, personally, and enlightening because it was more oriented around policy and management. And so we have the draft for that report. We are waiting for the final report. But our IT, our contracted IT department, has taken both of those reports and come up with some recommendations from that. I literally have on my desk, it's like one of the next things to get to is to provide you all with a summary of where we are with that. So I hope to get that out to you in the next week.
Thank you. I have more questions. We'll talk later.
I do have a question. Regarding the schedule of fees. So I know that we had a discussion about developers and our fees. Were our fees amended or in any way after that discussion?
No. So Stephen, he can speak to that if you would like to. But there were some recommendations, but we're waiting to phase those in at another time.
Yeah, I think that's a discussion that's ongoing. I know in my department, I had my staff go back a whole year and analyze the fees that were being charged for TRC reviews to see if they're reasonable based on the number of reviews. And frankly, I think they're fairly reasonable, but it's a discussion that I need to have with management, and we are planning to continue that discussion.
When you say reasonable, I mean, you're saying that we're pretty much on line with other municipalities from a dollar perspective?
I believe so. I mean, you look at the cost of a project and the percentage of the fee for review, I think it's quite reasonable.
Thank you.
So my question along that same line, just for general, for everyone in the office, so are all of these fees pretty much in line with other municipalities, taking into consideration we're not as big as some? So I'm sure all that was taken in. This is 80/40.
We didn't do a robust assessment of all of them. We focused primarily with working with the planning department on those that were related to development. And they had offered some amendments that were tweaks on about 3 of those. But we honestly haven't had the time to circle back and look through all that. But we plan on bringing that back to you all in the form of an amendment at a later time.
Just for planning department or any of?
We can assess all of them across the board. But the ones that have stood out, so we look at primarily the people that engage with the fees. They let us know they have a problem with it. In this case, from the development community, we've had more comments and feedback around those fees. And so we're going from there. The rest of the fees are establishing they're kind of in line with how we've always done business, and we haven't heard any major feedback from the community on those. But we can gladly do that.
I'm just wondering if our camps are in line with other camps, not the police department because I know that one's, but if our camps and our recs or our fees
Okay,
are.
with the Parks and Recreation, the board, you all passed an ordinance for cost recovery about 3 or 4 years ago that dropped those. And we can. That drop those fees.
Okay.
And so for things that are purely family oriented, like, I can have June bring that before you and I can send it to you. Yes, that was when JG was here.
Okay.
When we had an uptick on, in the amount of children we had in soccer and baseball, it created this, it triggered a conversation about what's our cost recovery, how are we funding all of it?
Yep.
And so the cost recovery for each one of the programs is based off community and family impact on the spectrum to it being a pure event. And so the cost recovery is higher on the pure events, but lower on the things that are more like summer camp, all this kind of stuff. But we can bring that to you all as a reminder, but that particular policy, it's been in place for like 3 years, drives all of those, how those fees are set, yeah.
Okay.
I have one more question that was outside of that. Were you done? We have Christmas lights that we put up on the poles during the Christmas season as we continue to expand our Christmas celebration in this area. But I noticed that a lot of them were flickering, to say the least, have some maintenance issues. Do we also have a maintenance kitty or pot that we can lean into that maybe I missed it here?
So there was a pot of money in there this year, and Isaac and I went through and did repairs and replacements on those lights. And so there isn't a pot of money in there for next year.
Okay.
Yeah, the goal with that one, we're working towards, we have all these new light poles coming up. All of those light poles have these new fixtures. And so the expense of buying those Christmas lights will be something we have to cross next year after the different phases of the installation of the poles are complete. And so, like for instance, Duke Energy is starting the second phase of their poles from about Old Riders Road down tomorrow. And then we have Wake Electric continuing to work on their poles that come from Jonesville back up this way. So there'll be a future expense on those tree lights. I mean, those Christmas lights that go onto the poles down Main Street.
That's to be expected. I'm assuming there will also be a maintenance. What I'm getting is, are we looking towards an ongoing maintenance?
They replace them annually off general. There isn't an explicit line item that says tree light replacement, but it comes out of supplies and things that break.
Okay.
Replacing lights, replacing fixtures, painting fixtures, they do that on an annual basis. Yeah.
Okay.
They're still getting the exact same fixtures that they've had for years, are still available.
So they transition to light bulbs. So the shapes of these have not really evolved.
Okay.
You get your bell, you get your snowflake. The light switching over to LED has changed over the years, but the shapes have always been the shapes.
Okay.
One thing they were trying to do.
Every snowflake's unique.
Every snowflake's unique until we talk about Christmas lights. But then we're also looking at the banner brackets, and so
Yeah.
what those look like, you know, the hanging banner.
Yeah.
And so those are things that we're kind of exploring as far as a future thing that comes with the whole Main Street vision.
Yeah, and that was where I was going with that. I know we are trying to tap into the Winter Wonderland mindset at times, and as we do other things in our great town. But I just wanted to make sure that as I was looking at the budget, that I thank you, clarity, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you for keeping the holiday cheer alive in Rolesville.
It's almost July.
And what I appreciate.
I'm good, thank you.
No comments or questions, Amy? I would say, it looks like, you know, it's important to have good working environments for employees, as well as salaries and everything else. Employees want to have good working environments. And I think that's what we're doing a lot this year with the police station, the fire station. And just down the road, there's going to be a new town hall for all the people here. And I think, you know, the message is, you know, not only are we thinking about your salary, we're thinking about your work environment. And, you know, that's important to employees. You'd be surprised how important that is to employees. And I think you'll see in this budget where we
The CFPs definitely took the front seat. Yes,
we're
sir.
making big strides for the employees. You know, fire station is for the public in a lot of ways. You have a fire station, but we already got a fire station, right? We're serving the public with fire station, but this is better not only for the residents but for the firefighter stuff too, because the environment's so much better. So I think that's a message that we got to share also, share with employees especially. But it's a good budget. Thank you. So not any questions from the board right now. I'm going to open up to public hearing. No one signed up to speak. Any last minute people want to speak? Not hearing any. I'm going to close the public hearing. And board, it's on the agenda as budget consideration. You can consider it tonight or we cannot consider it tonight. I don't think anything has been disclosed to be of concern. It is a good opportunity to get the budget behind us if you feel free to do that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and accept the budget that has been presented to us tonight on May the 5th of 2026.
Okay, I have a motion, second.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Typically, I'd love to have everybody here when you approve the budget. Michael Paul was absent tonight, but I haven't heard a word that he didn't like anything in it, so I think he's very good with it too. So, so with that, unless somebody else has any concerns or any more comments, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Budget pass. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Got a budget. All right. Thank you, board. Appreciate it. Got three, I guess, text amendments, maybe type things. TA 260002 required permanent buffer correction. And Stephen, I think you're doing all these, so I think I have to do a public hearing for each one. I don't think we can do them together because they're so differently. Let's kind of run through them. You got a presentation for each one?
I do.
Okay, let's just run through them one at a time and we'll see.
All right, ready for me? Okay.
Unless you guys want a break, we've been going an hour and a half. Go for it.
All right. This is a pretty simple one. This is a text amendment to the required buffer yard, or perimeter buffer yard by district. And really what it is there was some discretionary language in the buffer ordinance, and really the ordinance is more of a black and white thing. It shouldn't be discretionary. And what we're working towards is having a menu of options to allow that flexibility, but this type of language, as Dave would tell us, is really not appropriate in the UDO, so we're striking it. And staff believes it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. And then we have a recommendation here for you in a proposed motion.
And I think the board has seen it a few times. So you guys have worked on this some. I would ask if you had any questions for staff before I open the public hearing. No? I will open the public hearing. No one signed up on the sheet. Does anybody in the public want to speak? Not seeing anybody, we'll close the public hearing. Is there any additional questions for staff or off question? No. Off question?
I'll make a motion to approve TA 2602 text amendment to section 6.2.2.1G, required perimeter buffer by district, because it is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion second, any further discussion?
No,
Not
sir.
hearing it, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it, ayes have it. Second thing.
All right. Motion to adopt the statement of consistency and reasonableness as TA 2602 is consistent with Rolesville's comprehensive plan supporting the plan's 4 focused areas and is therefore reasonable.
Got a motion, is a second?
Second.
Okay, April says it's consistent, Dan says it's consistent. Any more discussion?
It is now
Not hearing it, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. Continue on?
Yep.
All right.
continue on.
You don't have to open the public hearing separately for this one?
No, go ahead and you got to report anything?
Okay, yes,
Do the
yes.
report first and then I'll.
All right, so this is a text amendment for section 9.1.2B, which is minor subdivisions, and then also to the LDO Appendix A, which is kind of mirrored language. So minor subdivisions are those subdivisions that are not exempt, because there are certain subdivisions are exempt from town review. And then there are subdivisions which are considered major, which require public dedication of roads and those sorts of things, and is more than 3 lots or 4 lots. So the way our ordinance was written, we had it backwards. I think it was written as 4 or fewer lots, where really it should have been 4 or more lots. But we've amended this ordinance to match statute. And the other thing that our ordinance did is there's an exemption for 2 acres and less, and then over 10 acres, and it's kind of left, everything in between is not a minor. So, you know, if you have 6 acres, what do you do? So we filled that gap with this change. So anything from 2 acres to 10 is covered by the minor unless it's a major, and then there's large lot exemptions, 10 acres or more.
And major is more than 3.
More than 3 and requiring public dedication or public dedication.
And then I heard you say this is in alignment to the general statute?
Yes, the language is mostly mirroring the general statute. And I do have a copy of that if we need to look at it. And this is the general statute. There's only one thing is, as reviewing this again, after the packet went out, I think there's a difference between statute, what statute allows, and how the town does business. We require minors to be on a public road. We don't allow subdivisional land on easements. And this letter C here really addresses those on easements. And so I have a fix for that rather than C, which is really creating confusion if we put it in our code, because it reads as though we allow subdivisions on easements. My revised 3 would be all lots shall comply with standard, the section 9.2.1A1, which it currently does. We just don't have a reference to it. In the beginning of that ordinance, it says everything below is applicable, which includes this design section. But I wanted to include a direct reference to it so it's clearer and there's no ambiguity. So that's how I want to change the 3, and I talked to Dave and the manager about it. So this is something that, as we draft up the final
ordinance for adoption, I'll work with Christie to change the 3 to read this way, if that's okay with the board. So, and then Appendix A is exactly the same mirrored language. There's that same number 3, permanent means of ingress and egress is recorded for each lot, which in replace, I would put all lots shall comply with section 9.2.1A1.
And just to be clear, you were trying to be clearer in being clearer. This is also aligning to general statute, but you were doing this why? Just what's the why for citizens? So they may not understand why you were trying to.
Well, we heard it tonight. We have a private road with nobody in control. You had neighbors complaining. That's essentially why we do it. Statute allows it to be done that way, but we've chosen as a town, as I understand, there's a history there, to require subdivisions on public roads so that they can be maintained by the public.
Thank you. That's great. Great information.
Yeah, this should, I think, improve the administration efficiency in how we conduct business ourselves.
Yeah, and I'm trying to work hard to get rid of these ambiguities in the code.
Yeah.
And you'll see a future amendment. The Appendix A has a lot of mirrored language. So if you amend one, you got to amend the other. That's kind of problematic. It should all just refer back to the original. And that'll be something we'll work through, but it was too much at this point to dig into.
Mayor Kern, if I could offer a friendly amendment, and I had reviewed this, and we were trying to wordsmith this right before the meeting, but now seeing it in context, in order to ensure compliance with the statute, my recommendation would be to preserve the language from the statute regarding ingress-egress, and then add for the development of lots, all lots shall comply with section 9.2.1.A.1, which will bring this into alignment both with the statute, but also with the distinction that is currently believed to be there, which is that there may be circumstances where an owner wants to subdivide their land, and the General Assembly wants to make sure that they can do that, even if it's on a private right-of-way. The challenge, and this is where the School of Government came out as well as where I am, that doesn't mean you can build a house on it. You now have a legal lot, and perhaps you want to use it for standing out there and admiring the stars at night, and you may want to sell it to your grandchildren, but you would not be able to develop it except in accordance with the other provisions of the LDO. This allows someone to divide. Imagine they put something in their will and they want to divide among 3 children or 2 children. The ordinance can change all the time, but the General Assembly wants to make sure that people are able to convey land. And in North Carolina, you cannot convey less than an entire whole legal lot. You can't convey half of a legal lot. It's not legal. So this was a way to get around that. So I think you need both requirements. One is, sure, if you don't have any frontage, feel free if you'd like to subdivide. However, you should not be looking forward to receiving a building permit in the future. You're just not going to get it. We've also seen lots that are undevelopable at other times. They're used for conservation area. They are used for parks or what have you. They don't get developed. And so those lots should still be able to be established quickly if that's the idea. How does that sound to the board as a way to thread the needle between public road frontage where there's going to be active use of it versus allowing folks to be able to subdivide their land if that's their desire?
So they'll be able to subdivide on land, but they won't be able to build on it.
They would not be able to build on it if it doesn't meet all the requirements. I mean, there's setback requirements, there's frontage road requirements, there's height requirements, there's water and sewer requirements. It's not just public road frontage. There are many things. There's utility requirements.
So this is making that partial a whole lot.
I don't want to mistakenly, in the pursuit of practical, I don't want to create an opportunity for a lawyer to sue the town by saying, hey, the general statute says you can't regulate this, you have to allow subdivision. And that's where the school of government came out too. They're like, yeah, well, it says you can subdivide. It doesn't say you can build.
Okay.
And we have many lots that are sort of set aside, even on plats that say non-buildable. I mean, that's done at the time. So
Are you
that would be my
recommending
thought.
that you go back and rechange?
I would just add the new language that Stephen has proposed.
The ingress, egress, but
The all lots shall comply. For development, all lots shall comply with section 9.2.1.8.1.
So it'll be number 4 instead of 3.
It becomes number 4. That's a fair point. And then design standards go on for a while after that. They go off the bottom of the slide. That would be my thought. I don't think you should replace the language from the general statute. Just add to it.
just add to it.
Yep.
So if we were to do a motion, do we need to call that out specifically?
Move as proposed for the amendment by the town attorney.
So, just educate me a little bit on public right of way is what you're talking about to be buildable. Does it have to be a street improved road to be buildable?
It will have to comply with whatever all of the design standards are for the town. I know one of the items that has come up recently was a question from an owner who did not have the required 20 feet of public road frontage. I do not recall whether the LDO also requires that the public road be of a certain standard. I don't recall that.
It does.
It does. So it does. Better question for the planning director.
And the minimum lot frontage is 20, but it also has to meet the standards of the district. So if there's frontage requirements of 50 feet, you have to have 50 feet of frontage. But the minimum is 20.
You have to put the road in, sidewalks and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And beyond that, you also,
Yes.
you have to comply with minimum lot size. I mean, that's the most obvious requirement. So even if grandpa wanted to leave the land in 2 lots to the 2 children, there's no exemption from the minimum lot size either. So grandpa has to have enough land to divide it. Otherwise, it stays as 1 lot.
It keeps us together with expectation and as well as a standard.
Yes.
And I don't think we want to get away from a standard, is what I'm hearing you want to implement in general.
Ken?
Sure. So staff believes this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Planning board recommended approval without my change, or Dave's change. And staff's recommending approval and the proposed motions.
So, so your suggestion from a legal standpoint, you need to change some of the wording in that document?
I would not want to delete is it C or 3? I would not want to delete 3. That's verbatim from the statute.
Add on.
Just add on, and honestly, it's a clarity item, as the planning director noted. We don't want folks to be surprised. So let's give them the cross-reference so they can see, need to comply with minimum lot size, need to be on a public road frontage, need to comply with setbacks, so that they don't go through with a quick subdivision only to be surprised, maybe after grandpa passes away, that the 2 children can't build there.
So then you said in order to make the motion to approve with the attorney's suggested addition?
Language for number 4. Alternatively, we can close the public hearing and put this off for a consent agenda item.
Okay.
Do you know if this is consistent with Wake County?
I do not know.
Does it have to be?
Well, some of these places not in town. So we're making rules for people, that's any TJ that's not in town, that has farms and all kinds of things out in the ETJ. ETJ is pretty large. I mean, we got, so we're making rules, like town rules, for people out beyond ETJ. beyond our boundaries in ETJ. That's why I was asking about the county, because it's kind of unfair if the county permits something, and then we say, you can't permit that.
Yeah, that's right.
Even though they're not paying taxes, they're not part of the town. That's kind of my thought.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I did look at the county's ordinance, and I think I read everything. I believe it's consistent with statute. It does not require subdivision on a road. So we're unique that way.
When you say you believe, how confident do you believe?
I'd have to go back and double check, but that was what I read. I didn't talk to anybody at the county and see if there's anything I missed. It's a very big code, but I looked in the section, in subdivision section, and that's what I believe I read.
So I think that's a big question to me. I mean, if it's consistent with the county, what we're doing is a no-brainer just about. But if it's not, then we have to think about these places that's way outside of town that we're really affecting as far as out of town. Things put in, not even part of town.
I'm torn. It's a great point. I'm torn because they're not part of what we do as a town. They're on the outskirts, and they're still managed by a lot of their services are still county driven, correct? So I'm torn because I don't want to ignore what's in the ETJ, but we're still talking about the greater part of Rolesville, and we have to do what's right for what we own, if you will. So my statement personally would be we have to do right for what we have, and then those in the ETJ we need to manage as they come about, in my opinion, but that's just one person on this fence. In other words, I don't think we can be held hostage by people who are that don't necessarily fight the fight with us all the time.
So explain to me a little bit more about how this would affect the people in the county. I'm missing something.
Yeah, let's,
Well, yeah, if they're in the ETJ, would this even affect, like, would these policies even affect them if they're in the ETJ and not?
yeah, definitely. If they're trying to get a building permit, that's what ETJ is about. Our ETJ, the only thing that we control with ETJ, like I said, the police department, the sheriff's department, everything is county. Pay county tax, don't pay county state. The only thing we control is land use.
Okay.
And land use consists of new development, subdividing, building permits, and it's also, which we got in tonight with those old folks, it has to do with non-proper usage of your land. If you're using it for commercial business and you don't have commercial, you're not in a commercial place. So land use is the only thing ETJ that we really control now. Dave, you can explain that a little bit better. I may botch that a little bit. But.
Oh, I think that's entirely fair. If the board is considering moving away from a prior board's decision to require that all new lots be, or all new development occur on public streets, that's beyond the scope of the proposal that's before you today, which is a cleanup technical change. If there's a policy decision that you would like to adopt to eliminate the public street frontage requirement, that's a different topic. And I would suggest perhaps seeing how Crooked Creek shakes out before you do that. This was a hot topic when I first came on as the town attorney due to private streets and the issues that occur on private streets, particularly in the ETJ, but also within the town limits, and the limited resources we have to govern that. So if you were to change and go back to the county structure, you can have Crooked Creek, because Crooked Creek was entirely approved under the Wake County ordinance of the time, entirely with private dirt roads.
So basically, we're not getting into the depth of, like.
This is not a policy change. This is clarifying the status quo.
What you said, though, if we delve deeper, I agree with you there that more about the commonality of Rolesville. And also, yeah, can we fix this Crooked Creek issue?
Yeah.
I mean, like, why do we need to, like, why leave that door open for another, I mean,
Great question.
you know, so like, yeah, ETJ, like we're closing that loophole there, because then you run into these problems, you know, with the ETJ that bumps right into the town of Rolesville, and
We have jurisdiction.
and then the citizens are looking at us going,
What can you do? And this gives us that jurisdiction.
so I think if we delve deeper into it, yes, the ETJ should have to. But this right here is just cleaning up
What was already done?
what's already done. And so for that, with that understanding, I motion to approve TA 26.
You gotta do a public hearing and all that stuff.
Dang it. There are too many little, I was trying.
That was real good.
I tried.
Yeah, we got to follow the process. So did you finish that? Did you?
Yeah.
You good? Y'all good? Well, I'm gonna open up the public hearing. No one signed up. Ms. Bissell, you want to speak? Anything? Anything you want to say?
I would love to.
Come up.
I hadn't expected to be here to do this, but I feel like I am the test case. As a matter of fact, I know I'm the test case about what you're discussing.
State your name, man.
My name is Ron Brisson. I'm the pastor of New Life Church. I've been here for 30 years. I just had a father that passed away 2 years ago who left some property to give to his grandchildren so that they could build a house. We have about 12 acres. My parents built a beautiful log home, not a pretend log home, beautiful log home 20 years ago when they retired. They built a guest house beside of it. We have a beautiful lake and pond out front. In the summertime, it looks like you're going into a state park. That's what people tell us when they come there. We've had weddings there. It's a beautiful place.
Where's the property at, sir?
Behind Old Town subdivision. You go out the back of the subdivision, you go into our property. This land has been in our family for over 100 years. My mother's 89 years old in a rehab center, possibly dying in the next few days. But she was born and raised on that property, and her inheritance, you might say, was that she was given that 11 acres for her family. On that end of the property, it's an oblong piece of property. So at one end of the property, I've described what's there. If you go to the other end of the property, we built a home there 20 years ago. We have 3 acres. We have a pond out in front of our place. It's a gorgeous place. In between, there's about 8 acres in between my parents' home and where our home is. There's about 8 acres there. And my driveway, I go in off of Old Town subdivision, I turn left, go right down through the middle of the property to where my driveway is at the end of the property. In other words, there is a gravel road already there. You didn't know my dad, but he wanted a country home. That's why they had the log home. That's why we've got the trees, we've got the ponds, we've got the fish. We just love it. And in the past few months, we've been told we're not going to be able to allow my son and his wife and my daughter and her husband to build on a property that they have expected to build on for years. To me, this is utterly ridiculous. I'm just being honest with you. Just to hear this conversation that you've got property, you've got we don't even want a paved road. We want a gravel road because it's a country setting. It's a country home. And to be told and listen to this, that we can't build houses on this property that belongs to us, it is in no way listen, we don't want water, we don't want sewer, we're on wells. It's a country setting, a country home. So I understand there's times and places for these things we're discussing, but from the bottom of my heart, I don't believe this is one of them that you can just pinhole and say, this has got to be this way, and you can forget it. Your kids can scat and go somewhere else and pay $500,000 for a home. So, yeah, it's important to me. It's important to my kids. It's important to my mother. And so if it means thinking about it for another month or two and working it out, I think that would be a wise move. But I will say this, I've been told all kinds of things about what we're going to have to do with this road when we put it in. And before I came over here tonight, my wife and I went into the subdivision that's behind my house, the new, what's the name of it? The new subdivision back there.
Chandler's Ridge.
Chandler's Ridge. It goes all the way back past my house and on farther back in the woods, adjacent to us. I'm bordered by Chandler's Ridge on one end and Old Town subdivision on the other, and then Tim, I don't remember what his last name is, Bremerton or something like that, got $1 million home. We're surrounded. All we want to do is just use our property and build a home, not affecting anybody else, just us, and live there with my precious grandbaby till the day I die. But this is personal. I'm sure I'm not the only one and that's going to be affected by this. But I would plead with you to consider very carefully what you do with this. Yes, I'm in the ETJ. I'm not in the town limits. And that doesn't make us less important than anybody else. It's just farmland that belonged to my mom's family. So that's all I have to say. But I just wanted to let you know, since I had the opportunity, it's important to us. My son, my son-in-law, my mother, myself, and my wife. It's extremely important to us, and we plan to be there from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bishop. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Anything else from staff?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Anything from the board? Any questions for staff?
Yes, after hearing his comments, how does this,
So he was unable to do a minor subdivision because the new lots would not have access on, would not have frontage on a public road. That's the issue. Now, if we're in the county, obviously they follow statute, they can do it on easement. Number three, three of those that we're keeping, but we have the street standard.
Okay, I'm not understanding enough to make a decision, so I need to understand this a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't do a work session on this.
can we,
I just need a little bit more understanding.
But for clarity, this does not change. We already require that.
yes,
This is not a change in Rolesville. That's the status quo, is that you need to have public road frontage. This doesn't change it.
So we're not even discussing whether or not to change.
No, that's why I
Public road
suggested
aspect.
that if there's an interest in a policy change, then yes, this should be in a different place. This is to add clarity and make it consistent with the general statute.
It's currently in
That we already have.
So if we just changed it to make it more clear in the general, in the general, no, the policy. But if we wanted to workshop what this gentleman is talking about, the possibility, because interestingly enough, my family, I grew up in an area that was, it's a lot like Rolesville, and my family had been there since before we were the United States of America. So I'm one of those folks at those town meetings. You know, my family's been there since the 1700s. But off of the main road,
the driveway comes off of the main road, and as you go up the driveway, there's one house, the second house, and then the third house. So if we had a situation there where basically it would be a private road that would dead end on a property,
What it is now.
right? Whereas, correct me if I'm wrong, but what's the creek, Chandler's Creek? What's the problematic one right now that we were talking about? Crooked Creek. I knew it was a creek. That doesn't seem to have, an end point. Does that, again, this is completely outside of, I know what we're supposed to be voting on right now, but is there something that we would be able to look at to perhaps amend this where, like, it could be a private drive that dead ends, on the private property so that they would be able to build off of it, such as a family sublot?
The town board can do anything it wants to do. This is a policy choice. My thought would be for the board, although I think we've heard the general sentiment of the board without a motion, the planning director can take a look at this.
Yeah.
He and I will talk, and then the manager, working with the mayor and the town clerk, can get this scheduled for a workshop so that you all have an opportunity to discuss maybe some alternative ideas to carve out exceptions. But at the end of the day, you're also going to have to consider the unintended consequences of trying to help someone out.
Right. Okay, so, but for today, we can approve the text amendment to basically clean up what we already have with the addition of the attorney language for item number 4. And then after this workshop, what we were just kind of alluding to and discussing. Does that make sense?
That makes
Am I
total
correct?
sense.
Okay.
That's right.
Is
Now
that a
can I do
motion?
it?
Is that a motion, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a motion, we got a second. Any other discussion? Now, I'm thinking what I'm hearing you saying, that you're making this motion with the intention that you'll hear something as a follow-up.
So the motion today is just to clean up the language with how it's written today. But also by adding in the attorney language for item number 4. Now, what we're talking about with this gentleman's situation and the idea of being able to utilize like landlocked land, like you're subdividing it and now it's like landlocked. We're giving direction to the town to please look into that, workshop it, see if there's a way that we can amend to work around, a situation where a division of land ends up with a landlocked piece of land, but that they would still be able to utilize to build just like a private residence.
That's the motion. The motion is to clean up and.
So the motion is to.
Direction for the staff.
Yeah, a motion and then
follow.
direction, right.
So, 2 parts. One's not a motion. The follow-up is sort of a direction to staff, I think.
Right.
Which is pretty give you direction. So, everybody good with the direction?
Yes.
If you do the motion?
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like everybody's good with the direction. So let's vote on the motion unless there's any further discussion. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Sounds like ayes have it.
Thank you.
Motion is approved.
Good discussion.
So you kind of hear the, I think the board is saying, let's talk about this some more.
Yep.
Find out what we can do.
That we'll work
If
with,
anything.
manager to figure out when to bring that back in the work session.
And I'm personally interested in wondering what Wake County would do. If we didn't have it in EDJ, what would happen?
But at the same time, trying to work it so that we don't end up in a situation with Bend Creek.
Crooked Creek.
Well, Crooked Creek's situation is.
It's different.
Is the misuse of the property that's already been developed. It's actually, he claims Tonight I heard 350 cars because it's commercial property.
Yeah,
Big
complete
trucks
misuse
and
of the
all
land.
kinds of stuff.
350 cars is a lot.
Yeah.
Trips. I've seen miscommunications around before, not unique vehicles, but
That's 350
So
trips is a
it's
lot.
still, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
That's a lot of trips.
And if that's
On a
not
dirt
supposed to
road.
be used commercially, then what are they doing? Okay, off topic.
Yeah. As Dave said, wait for the report.
Okay. So now on to fence height?
I'm good. Everybody good with that discussion? If we're going to end that, then let's go to TA 26-004 fence height. Now, we've been going 2 hours. Do anybody want a break?
Almost dead.
Everybody good?
This should be quick.
Okay, take
All right.
off.
All right, so this amendment really came from concern of a resident who is adjacent to more intensive use, and that intensive use had to remove some buffer, and so that's just sort of some background how we got here. So staff has composed this to address that situation. Currently, we allow a 6-foot fence, and I believe we allow 1 foot of semi-transparent above the 6 foot, but this goes a little beyond that. And this allows, well, what it exactly does, it allows a fence within the required rear or side yard to be 8 feet when a residential lot on the perimeter of a subdivision is adjacent to a more intense residential or non-residential zoning district. So,
And why are we doing this?
I'm sorry?
Why are we doing this?
As I said, it was generated from a specific situation where a resident was adjacent to more intensive use that removed their buffer. And the lay of the land was such that a 6-foot fence just wouldn't create that screen that's needed. And so this is a consideration. This would affect, of course, the whole town-wide. Again, it's at the edges of a residential development that abuts a more intensive district.
Yeah, I thought it'd been very recently, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, before you was here, Stephen, that we had the very opposite, where a homeowner put up a tall fence more than 6 foot, and it blocked the person's view of everything, couldn't even see Main Street or anything, he had to cut the fence down to 6 feet.
That, you're correct.
So that's the opposite of this, so I guess the fear I got is, if you're in the right place to put this fence, you can block somebody's view pretty bad with an 8-foot fence up.
Well, this is, I mean, that could be the case, but this is meant to be only at the edge where it's adjacent to either a commercial district, industrial district, office district, or a more intensive residential district. Like if you're against an apartment complex, you could have a little taller fence in that backyard or side yard.
Okay, so would this allow, so I'm the homeowner and commercials going in over there. This allows me to place up to an 8-foot fence on my property. This isn't saying to the new construction that they have to build. This is just for like a personal fence.
Correct.
Does anybody else have that?
Okay, and it would just be the setback. So if I was fencing in my entire house, this is the back part, this is hitting the apartment, only this back part would be able to be 8 feet.
Only the backyard.
Yeah, and then the rest of it then would be 6 feet in between my neighbors.
That's right. Only where there's a more intensive district beyond that property line.
Get what I'm saying? Did you get what I'm, so it would just be for that back part, not like,
The entirety of it.
right,
Yeah.
Or the size.
Size.
Or-
Yeah.
It can't be in a
Yeah.
residential.
To that point too.
It can't be residential, it can't be like single family to single family. It can only be single family to something more intensive like a manufactured home or apartments or commercial or office, industrial.
And just to be clear, 'cause that's a good point, just the back, not the sides, correct? The sides,
Just the side that faces that intensive use.
okay.
For clarity, it isn't by use, it's by district. So if you are in residential low and you are adjacent to residential medium, you could do it. Or residential medium and adjacent to residential high, you could do it, regardless of what happen to have been built on that particular property.
Okay.
Or what might be built there in the future. For example, you may want to put up an 8-foot fence while it's still woods, because you know what's coming.
Yeah. So,
Well, why would you be able to put it up against woods if there's nothing there? Or you're just saying if we zoned it
Because it's judged by district, and so the,
by so if we knew like the woods is now going to be residential high, even though the woods are still there, I can go and put that 8-foot fence up.
the roads, if the woods are residential high, or more, maybe perhaps more in line with what exists, we have existing relatively undeveloped industrial zoning. If you backed up with residential low, medium, high, or an office space to the industrial zoning, you could go to an 8-foot fence rather than a 6-foot fence with a 1-foot semi-perforated section, which makes it a 7-foot fence.
so this gives homeowners right to do that.
Correct.
So if I'm thinking about, and I know it's rental, but it could be one-day homeowner. So I'm thinking about Walden, which has townhomes adjacent to commercial. So you could have a townhome with 8-foot fence in the backyard, and then none, and then another 8-foot fence.
That's all TC district. That's all one district, TC district. All of that is one, I'm sorry, Walbrook, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Cobblestone. That is all commercial.
No, the townhomes can be.
The townhomes, correct, the townhomes are residential high.
If I buy a townhome there, I could do this if I wanted to.
If your restrictive covenants would allow it, which they won't,
Oh,
because you're in a townhome.
because you're in a townhome. So it would negate that situation.
But if the whole townhome owners association wanted to go with an 8-foot perimeter rather than a 6-foot perimeter, they could, as between the townhome residential high district and the general commercial district. Yes.
That would be-
Yes.
Maybe what's the next step? Because I've screwed this up.
I guess the question I've got, is anybody else doing this?
That was gonna be my question.
Or is this something that we somebody just offhand requesting?
It was generated from a single request.
But do we see this like in any other municipality where they allow this increase in fence height, separating?
I would imagine so, but I'm not aware of any.
And let's also be make ourselves aware it's kind of the same thing. What we do for this one situation, it would be for others, right? So we're setting a precedent. So I think we need to put a pin on this one. We need to talk about it some more personally.
The manager and I are only aware of where we live, and we both live in Durham, and it's 8 foot by right.
It has to be in there.
8 foot, like all the way around? Or
At least on 3 sides. Yeah.
What was that?
It's 8 feet, it's an 8-foot fence. That's the standard, not 6, it's 8.
Yeah, but this is lending itself to, okay, so in your area, if 8 feet isn't high enough, will they let them put in 10 feet?
You would need a variance.
I think maybe that's the answer here.
When you get a taller fence, you also have to worry about wind load and some other issues.
Expense.
But that's what I'm saying here. If, without being able to look into this further, you could have some really funky looking areas, you know, like, even, I'm thinking like a, well, I guess where I'm thinking is Elizabeth Springs in Atticus Woods. So, but they already have to put up a buffer, so wouldn't there already, there would be a berm, there would be something there already, right?
I think the purpose of that initial inquiry from the resident that sparked this is more so existing homeowners being able to take action on future development. So you move into an area and they put an apartment complex behind you. And them being able to work together as an HOA, in Dave's example, to put an 8-foot fence up, given that if it's townhomes, but if it's single family, to be able to do that. So it's not, it's Atticus and Elizabeth Springs are newer. And that the berm, for example, is something that is taken into account the experience of Elizabeth Springs and saying, we're going to build this berm. That berm is probably going to end up being about 10 feet tall.
Right.
I think it's like 6 feet and then another like 6 feet and all this. But it's more so existing residents that have new development, have working in adjacent to them where they
But
don't
that's
have
what I mean, the
say.
new development, wouldn't they have to already put up the berm or some kind of buffer? Right?
Most often.
You know,
Yes.
a lot of people put fences up in their yard just for privacy.
Well, no, I understand that, like, because we do, but what they're saying here is that they want, because this is where we were getting into the fact about getting rid of the fences so you don't have like double fences with dead yard in the middle. I mean, I'm kind of looking at this in the same way. I'm already here. No, you're building apartments next to me. That apartment complex already has to supply some kind of buffer in between the residents and the apartments. So by allowing one person to put up an 8-foot fence just on the back end, you know, it could lead to some kind of
And this
weird
is from an
limitation.
existing resident who's already been here for years.
And would an HOA override that?
It may, but that's different than town code.
Right?
It's a lot of places people got fences up in front of the buffer because they want privacy. I mean, if you got a pool, you want a fence all the way around your backyard. So.
Yeah, and then you could still put up a fence, they were just asking to make it 2 feet
Or
higher.
you put up a fence that's all 6 foot except for the back, it's gonna be 8 foot. But you can't put 6 foot on the sides of your neighbor these days. You can put 8 foot in the back, 6 on the side. Huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
But even
Is the zoning behind this property, is it zoned so that if this passed, that it would allow the 8-foot? Is it a different zone, I guess, my question?
I don't know what the person's covenants say. I don't know if that person has explored that, but the use behind it is a manufactured home park.
And so
This would give him a screen from the manufactured home park.
Yeah, I think I got a request, so let's ponder this for 10 minutes, take a recess. I think we're stuck here on this one. So let's ponder this for about 10 minutes. We'll take a recess, everybody take a break. Thank you. Have a good day. Call the meeting back to order. I guess just pick up where we're at. We're working on TA 26-0004 fence height. I think we were still in the discussion phase and question phase. I believe you completed your presentation, Stephen.
Mostly.
Anything else you want to add?
Just the planning board recommended approval. We got a staff recommendation for approval, and then proposed motions, which includes an option to table it if you need more time.
Yeah. Any questions for Stephen?
Yes, and I think we've already answered this, but I just want to be clear. Was this something that the planning, actually, I guess it would be the planning board. Was this brought to the planning board?
Yes.
Okay, and was it, did they agree, did they to approve it?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
I wasn't a fan, but I wasn't not a fan either.
Yeah, I kind of, it's almost the same thing Lynn was just saying. It may not be as big a deal we're trying to make it out to be. Just, you know, it's 8-foot fence. I wouldn't want 8-foot fence next to me, I don't think.
But I
That's
mean,
pretty,
to the point, it's in the back only.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
And
a
it could
plus.
be other places where you can put 8 feet all the way around you, like in Durham and Raleigh.
Right.
So,
But
you
this
know,
is just the back
we're
part.
just talking about just the back part, based upon
Certain
the zone,
circumstances.
the certain zone. So that's where I was confounded with, is this really good or is that bad, or we really, am I being nitpicky? But I do believe that we're trying to hold a standard and expectation of what we want our look to look like in town.
Mhm.
And so my only concern is how many other people are now just running to put up 8-foot back wall fences.
Where are they going?
And where they're gonna put the, you know, those are the thoughts that go through my head, but I know I guess you can't control all that. But
Can it be something where, like, that they would have to get maybe town approval, like to prove that their line, their property line
Permit or
backs into something that is, you know, a higher residential or industry or commercial? You know, so that we can make sure. Yes, sir.
Just to interject here, we don't require permits for fences. Of course, if they put up a fence that's not allowed, then it's a code compliance issue. And someone will complain because they didn't like that fence, and then they'll have to go out and say, you need to take your fence down or cut it off if it's not allowed.
Do it just for this particular situation, so that we can make sure that all of the parameters are there to ensure, like, to allow this 8-foot rear fence?
I think that would be confusing to the public, having two standards for fences.
yes.
You know, you'd have just as many people that wouldn't get a permit for the fence as you would that maybe would. And so then you got another code compliance. You didn't get a permit. It's just messy.
And the HOA would get involved too, when they try to change 8 feet. Is there you go.
6 feet?
There you go.
And is there HOA in the
And that's another whole thing. HOA have their own controls.
So this would only apply with a home that wasn't in an HOA, because the HOA would have,
Well, it could be an older HOA, may not.
what's that?
Older HOA may not have anything on fences or something like that.
So some HOAs don't patrol.
Some HOAs don't patrol. But if the HOA comes back and says no, then it's a no.
That's for them to figure out. The town wouldn't have an issue with it, but neighbors could fight them in court.
I thought fences make good neighbors.
It's only in the 80s.
Okay.
To Linwood's point, I'm kind of the same way, like, I see pluses, I see minuses. Is this gonna end up, are we gonna end up with, you know, a row of homes and it's like this the whole way down, or?
That's, yeah,
Potentially.
potentially, that's my, that,
Right.
yeah,
Like, that's,
but that's kind of what we,
I mean, you're still gonna see it then, like, you know, because it's just the back part. If you look to the right, you're still gonna see the apartment.
Yeah.
If your neighbor doesn't put up the 8-foot one.
yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine you can put up anything between, right?
What do you mean?
Huh?
Bill, you know what? How about if you just plant trees?
Right? You can put up anything between.
They can put up,
They can put
trees that grow 20 feet, right?
Sure.
There you go.
But hold on, I thought HO, never mind.
All right, I'm gonna, I'm gonna ask, we didn't get a motion, did we? No. I kind of lost my place there. So I'm gonna ask for a question on this one. Now, you can, if you wanna ponder it or hold on for it, you can do that, but, I'm gonna ask for a question one way or the other.
I got it.
Well, what do you?
Oh, you ready? Move to deny TA 2/004 text amendment to section 6.5.E.4 fence height.
Okay? Got a motion to deny?
Oh, is that what you said? I couldn't
I
hear you.
did.
Yeah, motion to deny.
I second.
So we got a motion to deny and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I have a question. Is there anything else that we could consider to offer as a solution? Or we don't have to worry, that's not our job, we'll just fence or no fence, 8 feet or no?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely anything the board wants to do is on the table.
Oh.
That'd be
That
something
always kind of
else.
freaks me out a little bit.
7 3/4 feet.
And I want the roller to prove it.
I mean, what am I muddying the waters?
Guys, I think this could end up being like a real train wreck though. Like seriously, like what we just said. I mean, you could have one person with an 8 foot and then their neighbor's 2 slots down, nobody has the 8 foot, and you can still see, the egregious, outlook that is over there.
All due respect, I think we need to chew on it. I think we need one more session, like, at least in the next work session, like, we need time to, like, talk through it individually and collectively with other people and get some more information personally, because I'm on the fence about it, and I don't want my vote to be a yes when I'm not sure of my yes today.
Commissioner, we would need to dispose of the motion that's here, because that's a dispositive motion. So you'd have to first deal with Commissioner Alston's motion. If that passes, then we're done. If that fails, then another dispositive motion would be available for someone to make.
You can't retract it.
No.
Motion has to die.
Just y'all can just vote no on it so you can take up a new topic.
It is what it is. To give them more time to think about it.
Move to deny TA 2/004.
Just-
My motion still stands, so we can just go
Yeah,
through
I
the
know,
procedure.
but do you agree to?
I think he just
to
answered
postpone
that.
it, to let him,
I'm willing to listen to it.
yeah, okay.
But
So if you agree to that, then we
I'm on the
can,
fence of still
yeah,
letting the motion go through the.
yeah, we got to vote on the motion, but, we can,
Right.
But I'm also okay with no as well.
if we vote it down, will you make the motion to future meeting?
I sure will.
Okay. All right, I got a motion on the floor to deny. All in favor of denying, say yay.
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 All in favor of,
Not in favor of denying.
that's really confusing.
That's why I
a
argue
word.
for only making motions in the
Say
affirmative.
nay?
Nay?
Yeah. It means you're voting,
To hold off.
it's a double knock.
Okay, I'm a nay.
I'm a nay.
So we hold off.
So we hold off, yeah.
So
Nay.
I broke the tie, I vote yay, so the motion,
Fails.
No, you vote nay on the motion if
Yeah.
you want it to fail.
yeah, so it fails. Now make the motion to go into future meeting.
Move to, excuse me, move the text amendment TA-004 to a future town board Commission work session and the date to be determined.
And
That can't be.
that'll be because of our summer schedule, let's say that second meeting in June. You want to say that?
We have June 16th.
Yeah. So June 16th.
Amend the
We are,
motion to the date
are
of
we,
June
are we
16th.
closing the public hearing on this, or are we leaving the?
Closed it.
So we've closed it, so you can place this on any date you wish, or, yeah, I would suggest postponing it to a date certain, just so those who are interested know when we're going to take it up again.
Amend the motion to table it, TA, correction, move TA 26-004 to a future town board commission meeting scheduled for 16 June.
Okay, so I got a motion to move this to a future town board commissioners meeting on the 16th of June. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. And I didn't have to vote on that one.
That was a rather confusing.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So make sure, maybe you guys give Stephen kind of what you're looking for between now and then, if anything. Maybe just.
that's
Are there any comparable, language in any of our neighbor, like, we always refer back to that, right? We don't want to be the ones sitting here with like this thorn in his side when everybody else is saying, like, are there any other comparable, maybe?
Municipalities or,
Hold up a ruler and see what that looks like.
Yeah, like, is there anything else comparable, like, within the surrounding communities with what this text was proposing?
Okay, I can check.
thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that.
That's what I did.
Okay, there is no new business, I don't think. So, let's see. Only thing I will comment, I'll make a comment, it's not new business, I'll make a comment that I did make a while ago on the budget. Like I said, Amy and Eric did a good job putting that together, everybody else that worked on it. I do want to thank the two commissioners, Michael Paul and Linwood. They served as committee, budget committee people. Thank y'all for y'all's work. I appreciate that.
Thank you for letting us do it.
We did get that off the agenda for the upcoming meeting, so that's a good thing. Kind of free it up now. We talk about fences all we want to. We got plenty of time. Got plenty of time to talk about fences between now and then. But I do appreciate it, guys. And with that, anything from the attorney? You got a request tonight, anything?
I do not. I am good.
Good, good. Town manager?
Just let you all be joining some of you at City Vision Conference on tomorrow and Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that time. Next week, I graduate from Leadership North Carolina Fellowship. The graduation will be on next Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll be shifting to the next phase where we curate the experience for the next cohort. And so I'll be assisting in building out the week that's based on economic development. And so I'm looking forward to that as well. Also, final update, I was recognized, I mentioned it during the special meeting, recognized by the Triangle Business Journal for the 40 Under 40 Leadership Award for leadership within the Triangle area. That award ceremony is on June the 24th. So I'm looking forward to that, celebrating that with family as well. But those are my updates.
Congratulations again.
Thanks again.
On all that.
Hey, do we have an update on, like, when everything should be done, cleaned up, cones, all the
Yeah,
things?
so we'll be transitioning to the punch listing. When I met with Fred Smith last night, after hours, after the water main break, they completed the work across the street at the Expert Auto place. And they said tonight and tomorrow they'll be finishing the long pools. You notice that there are some around the center lane pools. They'll be completing those. The thing to think about too is that the next 2 days they'll be finished with the asphalt paving, but they have to do a lot of hand thermo. And so that's the high visibility paint. A lot of that is going to be hand torched, hand placed. And so it'll be about 2 weeks of that taking place. And also they're going to continue adjusting the signals, the milling process, cut the loops. You know, there are these loops in the ground. And so they're going to finish those out. In 2 weeks, we'll be able to start the punch list, which is going back and looking at every single thing that was built again to look at if something is cracked, something is broken, anything needs to be fixed as we move towards doing the as-builts in the final closeout of the construction phase of the project. We are on the home stretch, so there shouldn't be any anticipated disruptions in traffic flow during the day as they kind of move through it. They're finished with all the hardscapes. If something comes out of the punch list and they need to replace a ramp or replace some curb and gutter somewhere or do some sod, we'll communicate about that if there are some interruptions. But as of now, once they complete the paving at night, they'll have some moving work. They'll do some of that work at night, some of that work during the day, because it's easier to see when you paint during the day. Sure. But that'll be kind of rolling and moving. It won't be major shifts. I can get something more specific to you on that.
Well, I guess,
but the paving will be done the next 2 nights.
Okay, because I know there's parameters for it, but at what point will they be able to take down like that orange fencing that you see, like down by the parking lot? You know what I'm talking about? And it's I think it's across the street. Is that all that, or is that something else?
They have 2 kinds of orange. The one that looks like the bigger opens in it, that's construction fence. That'll be there until the end of the project when the construction is like completely done.
Like the punch list and everything? Okay.
The sediment control fence is done, will be removed when the work in that area is complete and it's accepted by DOT. And the grass is grown to at a minimum 75% coverage, because it's about dirt and sediment runoff. So the timing on that orange fence will depend on DOT approval and acceptance, and the other part is on the finalization of the construction phase of the project. And so each phase is moving in a different, like for instance, the Walbrook end will be accepted before the Main and Young end, because all that work is complete. They just finished paving that 10-foot path last night, that last little bit that comes from the old Burlington Mills light signal back towards there. And so we'll start seeing the orange fence disappear at the Walbrook side and come back this way. But it'll be staggered as we get certain sections of the project approved and accepted by DOT.
Yeah, I think the fence in town down there, in those people's front yards, several houses, the fence is in their front yards, and it is no disturbance around the fence. The fence was put there, and they can't mow it. They ain't been able to mow it in 2 years, mowing folks, and so I'm not sure if. I know everything is by plan, but it would be nice after being in those yards for 2 years that you could go ahead and take that fence down when they got grass growing all around it and no work is going on up there. And you know where I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
It's like 4 houses on this side of
like down
Suzanne's.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
About 4 houses. I mean, it goes way down the street, and all them houses got it in their yard. And it's further than the right of way too, so I think it may be something temporary we're able to get from them. I'm not sure, but I think that would be.
I can look into that. I can look into that and see how we can expedite that.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful to them if we could do that. It'd make them feel like it's over with. Anything else? I know some of us are at the city divisions this week, so that started today. Turned out, looks like it's pretty good event downtown Raleigh, so we don't have to stay out of town. So that's a cost savings thing. I don't really have any anything else to add? Christina, you have anything? Got your computer working?
I do. Yes.
Tell them not to work on your computer nights we have meetings and stuff. It'll freak you out. Anything else from anybody?
I move that we close this meeting.
All
Mr.
right,
Mayor.
got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I like the ayes have it.